Hello everyone, my name is Jeffrey Daston. I cover airlines for Reuters. I'm here at Fort Lauderdale International Airport right before the first flight between the United States and Cuba. Commercial flight in decades is set to take off. Boarding is going to just in a few minutes. If you can hear, there is Cuban music playing. It is quite a party. There are balloons everywhere. And I'm trying to understand who are the people who get to be part of this historic moment, who get to go back to Cuba, whether to visit family or to do business, and take part in history, as I was saying. So, without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you all to some of the passengers. I have here, right behind me, if we can see, this is, here, if you want to come in the view, maybe that's slightly better. This is Dr. Mohan Saoji and his wife, Maria. And they have their whole family here. We'll introduce them in a second. But as you see, this is very unfiltered. I'm just doing this as we go along. But they are going to be on the first flight. And so I guess just to ask you, so why are you taking this flight? Tell us, you want to start by telling us your story? Maria.
Okay, we are going to Cuba after 49 years. So it's
let me give you the microphone so you can hear a bit better. Sorry about this. Okay, you were saying?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. We are going to Cuba after 49 years, so it's very emotional for us to be here and know that we are going to go to Cuba.
Yeah, so where are you from originally?
Cuba.
What part of Cuba?
Las Villas, Rancho Veloz.
And so this flight is to Santa Clara, not to Havana, but you're originally from
on that side,
a place near Santa Clara.
Near. Mm-hmm.
And so when did you leave Cuba? When was the last time you were there?
Okay, I left Cuba in September 12, 1967. I was 13 years old, 49 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And have you been back since then?
No.
So what are you going to do there? Are you going to visit family?
Visit family. We'll go to beaches and enjoy there.
So you're going to go to that's so nice. And what does this moment feel like for you? Is it emotional?
Emotional.
Dr. Saoji, if I may ask, so how do you feel? Tell us your story a bit. So you're from India originally.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What I feel is that is the best part to see her family for the first time, which I never had chance to see them. We had lost many of her families, which we felt bad. We couldn't be there for them. First opportunity, so we are going to take the fullest extent of our lifetime memories with them, see them, get acquainted, make the relationship that we can grow. As I see, it's not about anything, but it's about the people of the Cuba and America.
Right.
How they can get together and make this world a better
right.
one.
And so is this the first time? You think this will be the first of many trips to Cuba?
I believe so. And it's so close to go. There's no reason that we cannot go.
So, if I may, so what's interesting is that there have been flights to Cuba in the past, but they were charter services. So basically, American Airlines would operate a flight that some other companies, such as Cuba Travel Services, would arrange, and it would not only arrange the flight, but it would arrange, hotel, what you do on the ground, and it would have to be for a specific purpose, like education or visiting family. But what happens today is that for the first time in decades, you can actually just go online, go to JetBlue.com, or then you can also go to American Airlines website or Silver Airways and buy a ticket just like you would any other flight to Cuba. And so that just makes it so much easier to get to Cuba, even though just one caveat there, of course, is that you still have to meet one of 12 categories to travel there, because the United States technically still has a ban on general tourism. But if you're visiting family, like the Saojis are, or if you're engaging in journalistic activity, like I am at this moment, you can go to Cuba, and there are other travel categories as well. But so one thing I'm trying to understand is why, Dr. Saoji, had you not taken one of the charter flights before? What makes it better to take this flight now? Is it because it's cheaper?
Yes, it's cheaper, and also it's the easier process now. I don't have to go through the other paperwork because of the family.
Right.
And JetBlue made it really simple for us. When the first charter flight started, I was fortunate my daughter and son-in-law went over there from Orlando. And it is not easy from Orlando to get a flight to go straight to Cuba. So this is one of the opportunity. And Fort Lauderdale, my daughter, another daughter lives, so we came all together.
Oh, great. Actually, so let's meet your family now, if that's okay.
Here is my daughter.
So can you tell us your name, if that's okay?
Yeah, Janaki Sauji.
Great. So you have been to Cuba already?
I have not. This is my first flight.
Oh, this
to
is your
Cuba.
first time. Okay.
Yeah. That's my sister.
Okay. Here, well, come back. Introduce yourself as well.
Seema Sauji.
Fantastic. And your name?
Jose Ortiz.
Very nice to meet you.
Amit Saji.
Great. So what are you most excited about in Cuba?
I'm most excited to see the country. It's my heritage, so I'm excited to see people, family, and just Cuba in its prime.
Fantastic. And so, where exactly in Cuba did you go the last time you were there? Where did you go the last time you were there?
So the last time I went was for a short visit. It was Havana, and then I went to Veradero.
And what did you see in each place? Was it to visit family or see the sights?
So the main purpose of the trip was to meet family.
So as you can hear right now, they're going to start the boarding process. It's very exciting. Just one second. So actually, just to give people a sense of the chaos, I'm going to turn the camera, and so you can see here a lot of people. There are balloons over there. There was just a speech back there by the CEO of JetBlue and other officials. The U.S. Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox is on this flight. People are getting ready to board, and everyone knows what this feels like to just have to board a plane, but people are much more excited in this context because it is a first in decades for the countries. Balloons everywhere. Although, of course, because of U.S. regulations, the instructions that the gate agents give are the same. So I guess that is not necessarily different for people. So let's get back to the interviews. Okay. So I'm sorry for that interruption. I just wanted to not bother you when you were speaking, and they keep speaking now, but it's okay. The festive atmosphere continues. So, tell me what you're going to do when you're in Cuba this time.
So I have family both in Havana and also in Santa Clara. So the last visit, I was able to visit some of my family in Havana. This occasion, we'll be visiting our family in Santa Clara.
Fantastic. And Jose, what are you looking forward to?
Same thing. We went together. She's my wife. So we went last year on the first charter flight leaving out of MCO out of Orlando. So this year we said, hey, this would be great. This is the first time that a commercial airline is going to come out of Fort Lauderdale. So we were saying, hey, let's bring the whole family. So everyone jumped on board, and this is her first time back in how many years now?
49.
49 years.
So we said, hey, this would be the best time right now to go. And not just that, we're going to be on the first JetBlue flight there. So it's going to be great.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to cut this short, but I just want to find this one other gentleman who kindly agreed to be interviewed. But this is the Sauji family. They're on their way to Cuba. It'll be very exciting for them, and hopefully we can actually catch up with them after we land. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you. So I'm going to walk over here to my friend Dominic. Dominic, are you ready to talk?
Yeah.
So here, everyone. This is a very on-the-fly effort here. So Dominic, please introduce yourself.
Dominic Santana.
And so where are you from, Dominic?
Originally, I was born in Cuba. I'm from Miami now.
So tell me, what is bringing you to Cuba at this moment?
It's the place that I was born, and it's the country that I don't know of, so I want to get to know my country.
Earlier, Dominic told me that it almost felt like being Christopher Columbus discovering not the New World, but his birthplace. So I'm very happy for him in this sense. So can you tell me a little bit how much you've planned this, what your itinerary is like?
No, I have no plans. I'm roughing it. I have a guidebook, and I speak the language. I don't have any hotel reservations, so I'm just going to rough it.
That's great. And so you'll be there for a week. You'll go to Havana, Santa Clara, anywhere else you're thinking?
Wherever the wind blows.
That's great. That's a great attitude in this very festive day. So could you actually tell me briefly what it was like booking that ticket? Was it seamless, or was this a surprise for the agents that you dealt with at JetBlue?
Yeah, they didn't even realize they had flights to Cuba. They had to put a supervisor on because it was very complicated because I have a Cuban passport with one name and an American passport with another name, so they didn't know what passport to use. So they figured it out, but I was the first one that booked it, and I'm on the first seat going and coming.
That's great. Again, so we are more stories about the first flight to from the United States to Cuba, regular commercial flight in decades. And so, actually, you were mentioning one other interesting part of your history. So you used to work in New York as a restaurateur, you said, right?
Yeah, yep. I had a couple of restaurants, but my biggest claim to fame was resurrecting the dead horse in Asbury Park, New Jersey, called the Stone Pony, that got me in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where it's the house that Bruce Springsteen, John Bon Jovi, and all the Jersey Shore rockers. So as a Cuban American, to have that under my belt is pretty cool.
That is amazing. So this is Dominic says he's the first Cuban American and only Cuban American, if I'm not mistaken, to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Is that right?
Correct.
That's so exciting. Well, Dominic, thank you so much for your time. I realize we're starting to board now, so I won't keep you. But thank you so much. We'll hopefully see you. Hopefully see you on when we land. Thank you. Thank you. So just to tell people,
we'd like to continue with customers
to tell people.
Program. Once again, if you're part of our
Tell people who are just tuning in, so as I was saying, this is the first commercial flight between the United States and Cuba. It does not go to Havana. And so that's really interesting, because most people, when they think of going to Cuba, they think, okay, well, let's go to the capital, let's go to the biggest city, Havana. That's where most of the sites are. It's near beaches. But so this is actually going to Santa Clara, and nonetheless, it's a full flight. But today is the first time this is happening, so, industry experts are questioning how profitable can these flights be in the long run. How many people, even if they are excited about Cuba, are actually going to go to Santa Clara? And in fact, if you think that you can just go easily from Santa Clara to Havana, it's not that simple, because it's a 4-hour drive, while the U.S. Secretary of Transportation Anthony Fox and his crew are actually going to Havana today for meetings, the Secretary told me. It is a logistical challenge to crisscross the country in just a few days. And so industry experts say, actually, that when airlines see a route that used to be restricted, where they couldn't fly before, the idea is to get your foot in the door, and to do this even at a loss. Actually, aside from that boring stuff, you can see right here where we're starting to board. They're calling they're calling people in the even more space seat, and they're doing this both in English and Spanish, which is really nice. You can see there are as many camera crew and balloons as there are actually passengers, it almost feels like. But anyway, as I was saying before the interruption, so is this going to be a new windfall for the airline industry? This first flight from the United States to Cuba, commercial flight in half a century? The answer is not clear, because airlines are still prohibited from flying directly to Havana. We're waiting for a ruling from the U.S. Transportation Department on that that will finalize who gets these coveted limited routes to Havana. And so what's left are these flights to cities that many Americans have not heard of. And so, as I was saying, when an airline typically goes into such a route that had been restricted, the expectation is to lose money for the first several months, maybe even a year, but hope that by getting into that market, you're going to start building customer loyalty, that someone who has flown on you there in the past, like the people we just spoke to, will not only get JetBlue's True Blue loyalty points, for example, but they'll have a good experience and they'll fly JetBlue again. So you're building your name there. You'll become the go-to recognized airline, and hopefully you'll turn profitable in the long run. That said, so many airlines are excited to fly to Cuba. We've got American, we've got JetBlue, we've got Silver Airways, we've got Frontier, we've got Southwest, all starting service in the next few months. That people say there's too much capacity, too many flights, price will be low. That might be a great thing for consumers. It's cheap to get to Cuba, but in the long run, we might actually see some of these airlines pull out of Cuba because they're losing money for a longer term, not just for a few months. So that will be interesting to watch. So anyway, I'll just take you around a little bit longer as we board. You can see a packed Fort Lauderdale airport here. Lots of people there. There was a live band playing earlier. This is probably the most festive and exciting you've ever seen an airport in your life. Most people here are not upset. They're not delayed. They're not in pajamas because they're going to go on a red eye. They're excited to see a country that has been off limits to commercial flights for decades. So here you actually have the JetBlue insignia. You have officials here. You have actually over here JetBlue's route map. Excuse me, sir. You have a little bit of information that JetBlue put up about Cuba. So you can see that there are 161,000 U.S. visitors in 2015 to Cuba, 3.5 million international visitors in 2015. And so what's interesting about that is that it just gets across how big a potential this is. I mean, Americans account for the largest segment of flyers to Caribbean countries, and it's been very limited to Cuba until now. So maybe this won't be a windfall for airlines in the short run, but it certainly will be a boost to the Cuban economy to have so many people finally descending on the island, which, as you can see, is the largest in the Caribbean. You can actually see JetBlue's route map here. So right now they're going to fly from Fort Lauderdale to Santa Clara. They're going to go to Camagüey to Holguin, but then they're actually waiting. As you can see, this dotted line, they're waiting for approval to fly direct from New York to Havana, as well as from other routes such as Fort Lauderdale and Orlando to Havana. You can see some service agents here, and this cake. Look at this cake! Oh my gosh! This is an amazing cake celebrating Cuba. Hi, I'm Jeffrey Daston. I'm with Reuters. I'm just doing a Facebook Live here. Actually, do you mind if I interview you guys for a second? Tell me, this you guys are local to Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, we are the cake lovers.
So what is in this cake?
Oh, this cake is midnight truffle with coffee infused chocolate ganache. We have a dulce con leche, and we have a rum with a hazelnut buttercream. All Cuban-themed cakes, and the cakes are 100% edible. Nothing fake here.
And so the only thing this cake is missing is a Cuban cigar, perhaps.
Oh
no, there is. I spoke too soon. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, they're edible cigars. Okay, let's see if we can. Actually, I'm just going to switch views right here. Edible cigars right there. Wow. Well, thank you both so much. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time. My name is Jeffrey Daston, reporting from Fort Lauderdale International Airport, seeing all this great food that I've not eaten because I've been reporting, and just enjoying the time here, about to get on the flight, the first commercial flight from the United States to Cuba in decades, and I look forward to seeing you all on the other side in Santa Clara, Cuba. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.